All right. Oops. I'm going to turn off the third one. I don't know where that one's going. Okay. So I think we are live here. And I haven't gone live in a while, so this will be fun. And hopefully the Amazon comes up. Amazon's having trouble with their streaming today. So I'm hoping this will work. The app has not been cooperative, but since I've already started on YouTube, we'll stick to YouTube here. So yeah, let me get situated here. Make sure I'm on the right channel and everything. I think I am. Yes, people are coming in. Good. So the only problem I have right now is that Amazon's not working. So I don't know if there's something wrong with the Amazon app today, but I am unable to get my stream going. So hopefully that will correct itself. And if it doesn't, we'll just keep going. So, hey, Trap Exit is here. Yeah, so I got in, this came in, by the way, in full disclosure. Free, and I haven't done one of these in a long time. It's been a little crazy here. Nothing bad, just been a little crazy. So in full disclosure, I got this phone in free of charge from Google to review. We get these in every so often when they come in. And this is the new Pixel 8a. And we're going to be doing some of the testing that I do for phone reviews. I don't do a lot of phone reviews, but I like to look at the ones that are different or relatively affordable. The affordability on this one has changed a bit because these used to be like the $349. Now they're like $500. So the price point on the lower end phone is now closer to what the higher end phone would be. Maybe not quite, but it's certainly not as inexpensive as it used to be. And this Amazon app is just not cooperating today. I'm not sure what's going on. I wonder if I should log out and log back in. I'm trying to do more, get back into the swing of things on Amazon here because I used to do these all the time, and I like doing the Amazon streams. They're a lot of fun. There we go. Let's try it again here and see if it picks me up. There we go. I'm going to go live before it says I can't. Okay, so I think I was able to coax it into working. So in any event, this just came out. In fact, mine arrived yesterday. I did get it installed and everything. And this is now their low-end phone. And this is made by Google. This is the Google Pixel phone. They are the manufacturer. I don't know who they're using to manufacture it, but I would imagine it's probably the same cast of characters that the other ones use. And I have a couple of things that I want to do on this phone, and I'm going to be reviewing it soon as I get all my stuff working here. There we go. Okay, so now I should start seeing my chats show up here so I can put them up on screen. So let's say hello to some people. So Trap Exit is here, Adam is here, Martin is here, Justin Roberts is here, Daniel is here, Blackbird 22, Dave A. How big is the phone? This is 6.1 inches. And manufacturer is Google, of course. Well, don't leave. Stay and watch me play with it. At least you could experience it vicariously through me. Yeah, these phones used to be like what, 300? And the 4A is a great phone. I have a 6A that I think probably my favorite Google phone, believe it or not, is probably the 6A because it is so good. So this one is the 5A. It does have two cameras. I can't do much with the cameras right now. I'm going to be doing more later with that. What's it doing now? So it does have a fingerprint reader built into the screen. And it also does facial recognition. They did update the display on these now, so this is a 120 hertz display, which has been the root of very massive debate amongst the tech reviewing community. How many hertz should your phone have? So for example, I have the iPhone 15 Pro, and that's got the 100 and whatever. My wife has the regular iPhone that's just at 60, and a lot of people think that you got to have the 120. So they put the 120 in here. It's probably why it's $500. It has the Google Tensor 3 chip, which is the same as their Pro phone. And we're going to do a little head-to-head benchmark in a minute. Excuse me for 1 second. I've been coughing since November. I have to go back and get looked at here. But Zane says it's a good value. Yeah, I think they did pack more into the phone, which makes it, so I'm not as critical of it. It's definitely smaller than the Pro version. So what you've got is, and I don't have one in the middle here, but this is the entry-level phone, the 8A. You have the 8 and then the 8 Pro, which is this phone here. So the 8 Pro is bigger. But the screen brightness, they say 2,000 nits, peak brightness in HDR mode. But it feels like very snappy. The bezels initially distracted me a little. They were a little thicker than I'm accustomed to seeing these days, even on some of the prior A-level phones. So that I thought was intriguing. And Zane, yeah, they probably will. Once we get to Black Friday, that thing's going down to $350. Adam is here. Yeah, that's my question that Martin's raising here, is that if you can get the 8, what's the point, right? There used to be a much bigger price gap between there, and that'll be something I kind of look at. So we will see. And Joe here heard that the modem is a problem for 8 series because of the Tensor chip. I have not heard that, but I will investigate that as well. Morgan is here. Thank you very much. Can you transfer? I think you can transfer. Look, right, there's an Android. I saw when I was setting this up that I had the option to transfer it from other Android smartphones. So I think that is a doable thing. All right. So what I'm going to do first is I figure since I have the other phone out here, we'll do a quick 3D Mark benchmark test. Because I like to see how these phones perform compared to each other. So you saw that there was a fingerprint reader there. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to run, in both cases, the unlimited... Oops, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Hang on. I was too quick on the draw. Let's try that again. So load up 3D Mark. We're going to do the unlimited test on both. And these both have the same chip. So let's see if they really do or not. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Now the Pro is at the top. The 8A is at the bottom. The 8A's brightness is turned up, which is why it looks like it's brighter. But definitely a lot smaller. And as you saw there, the 8 Pro definitely got the test started quicker. So a lot of times, even though these have the same chips on board, the performance is not the same because they tune the chip at a lower rate of performance, right? But let's see. Yeah, it's been a while. I've been tied up. So here's what's been going on. Nothing bad at all. I've been trying to keep the content flow going, which is challenging, right? What's also been challenging is that, oh, they both finished around the same time. Wow, you know something? This surprised me. Look at that. The score is pretty much the same. So this performs at the same level, at least on this test, that the Pixel 8 Pro performs at least on the first one. We'll try the other one. There's two versions of this test, but let me just go in and mark this down. So here's what's been going on with me, in case you're curious. So a couple things. One is, I don't know if it's YouTube or just the marketplace in general, but it's been very challenging trying to find things that actually get any traction content-wise this year. That's been challenging. So the TV box stuff always does well for me. And I don't know if, like the laptops, usually the laptops do good. They're kind of like the bread and butter of what I do. Laptop videos have been tanking lately, and they take a lot of time and money because I have somebody set them up for me. So that's been challenging. So I've been trying to come up with other stuff, and the other stuff takes more time for me to do. So that's been eating into the live stream time. The other thing that's been going on is that, for those of you who don't know, I am on my local school board. Actually, I'm now on 2 school boards. And we've had actually, for those of you who are engineering types will appreciate what I'm about to talk about. We have a middle school that it was almost like one of these big, like an engineering disaster, right? So it was a bunch of little problems that led to a big problem, which is that our school got had to be closed down because we had mold growing in the building. And the powers that be in my community decided to appoint me as the chairman of the committee that is rectifying it. So I'm on like conference calls all day with consultants and construction people, and it's been taking up a lot of time. So that's also why I haven't been live so much. And then today my wife is at an all-day meeting, so I have to go pick my kids up in about an hour and a half, 2 hours from school. So I've got that going on. Yeah, so it's been a little crazy, but we're making progress. And it was crazy because in my community we are a small town, or we're a collection of small towns running a school together. And in Connecticut, when you have something like this happen and it's outside of your budget, you actually have to go and vote. Like, you have to get the voting machines set up, and people have to go to the voting machine and vote to reopen the school. And if they didn't vote that way, we would not have the school open. Luckily, we have an enrollment decline, so our enrollment has been low the last 7 or 8 years. So we were able to fit, not well, but we were able to fit all the kids from the school we closed into the high school. But it's not an ideal situation by any means. So all those pressures there, and we had to go out to a vote, which takes time to set up, and you got to do all this stuff. So the vote went through successfully, thankfully, and now we're in the midst of rectifying the situation. So it's just taking up time. Because I get called, I will probably get calls while I'm here, mostly just to keep me up to date. But we have a meeting at 5. Our weekly meeting's at 5, so I got to go do that. But there's meetings throughout the week. It's a little crazy. So we're getting there. So that's why you haven't seen much of me lately. But yeah, and it's interesting because mold is not considered a hazmat. It's considered an allergen. So, and now my wife's texting me that her watch is full of storage and she can't get her activity. I got to deal with that tonight. So the state actually says don't test for it unless you have a reason to. We had a reason to because we saw it growing. And actually what ended up happening was it wasn't the result of a leak. It was a bunch of little problems that compounded into a big one. So they fixed the air conditioning chillers. We had one of these closed loop air conditioning pipes that would run cold water throughout the building. And the chillers had been underperforming. They fixed the chillers so the water started to run colder. What was not known at the time was that the insulation that wrapped the pipes for the cold water was failing, and so it was getting cold on the outside of the pipe. The control systems weren't working so great at controlling the level of fresh air coming into the building, and on top of that, there were energy efficiency motion sensors that had turned off the air conditioning in the rooms over the summer. So all this fresh air was coming in untreated, very humid fresh air in the end of August here in Connecticut, and it then condensed on the insulation, dripped into the ceiling tiles where it got absorbed, and then the moisture level just kept growing in the building. Totally crazy. So it's insane. So I hope I am not a big deal in my town, because I don't like having high expectations. Everybody's so excited that this thing, I was like, look, don't get excited until it's done. And it will be my fault, no matter what happens. But good to see you, Kevin. So, Kevin, I am not out of NSF. I want to help still. And once this is, we're going to be fine. I'll be back. But my days are starting to get a little better now. So now that the project's underway. So, by the way, Kevin is one of the masterminds. He's a big deal over at NSF. He keeps the trains running on time over there. And I have never seen someone more adept at vMix and getting all this stuff working than Kevin there. So, and it's good to see that the Grand Admiral is supportive of me, the greatest tactician of the empire. So thank you for that. All right, so we just finished up a test here as I was blabbering on about where I've been. The good news is I'm still uploading videos. Somehow I'm actually getting some work done during the day. I don't know how it's happening, but it's happening. And the mold is all sorts of mold. It's mostly, the good news is the mold we have is the stuff that grows on the bread. You know, it's not harmful, but it does have an allergen. And some of the rooms that I went through the building like 2 days after we got everybody out, And the lower level of the building was pretty bad. So in the sense that it wasn't comfortable to be in the room because of the humidity level. So, so yeah, it's getting there. So we've got the people doing the remediation right now. They're pulling all the insulation down. We're cleaning everything. And then you got to go back through, and this is all about duty of care. So they're going back through and testing every section after it's cleaned. If it's coming back clean, then they move on to the next one. If it's not, they got to clean it. So it's good. So yeah, it's coming along. It's been interesting because I have no construction experience whatsoever. As you all know, I'm very good at explaining things that are explained to me. So that's what I've been doing with this project, and it's been challenging, but I do like it. I mean, it's one of those things where I think if you have time to serve in your community, depending on, I know people are from different parts of the world, but at least in my part of the world, our towns run on volunteer effort. So we're not paid to be on the school board. Some places pay school board members, but not in Connecticut. So we do it out of, just it's important how these democracies run. You gotta put your time in. All right, so now we're gonna run the stress test. And there was a comment, I think, from Martin about the resolution. So the resolution is indeed lower, but this test runs at a consistent resolution. And I think the first version of it, I think, runs at 1080p, and I think this one may be 1440p. And it's rendering off screen. And another comment about the test loading up faster on one versus the other is that the eMMC storage might be faster on the Pro phone, which is what it appears to be. So you can see that it's already starting its test so that's the Pro and that's the 8A down here. So there you go. Yeah, maybe after it's over, I'll talk about that. We'll see. Level 2 cache. Tell me more about it because I haven't done all of my homework yet on the phone. I'm just doing my initial testing here. The Analog Duo. I am probably not going to get one in. I did not buy one, primarily because I have a real TurboGrafx that I got the new EverDrive for, along with its external output, so I can hook that thing right up to my OLED. I got that adapter thing. Like I say, I run through the whatchamacallit. I run it through the RetroTink. All right, let's see how we do here. Is the stream breaking up for anyone else? So my thing says excellent connection here. All right, now this is the other test that we're running right now. This is the faster of the two. So we shall see how this one does. I'm sorry, not the faster. This is the more involved version. So this will push the processor a little harder. And then after this, I will tell you what the comparatives are. Because one thing about these Google Tensor chips is that they are, although you're paying for a high-end phone, the performance on these tensors is not as good as what you get out of an Apple or maybe even a Samsung. I haven't looked at the Samsungs. Partly why I don't review smartphones is that everybody reviews smartphones, and it's really hard for me to compete there. So that's why we kind of stick to the basics here. But the good news is the sun is coming out, so after I finish this up, I can start taking some pictures with it. And typically with my smartphone, somebody was asking me, I don't usually replace it as my daily driver just because I am so invested in the Apple ecosystem. I do walk around with it for a week and use it along with my other phone. Yeah, the 55-minute mark. Let's see if they've fixed it. I don't think they have, but we'll find out. How many minutes are we now? We are so far, it's been 20 minutes. So this test takes longer because it does run at a higher resolution. So that's why it takes longer for it to run. But if the first test is any indication, I think we're going to get the same score. Thank you. Yeah, that's been my ballywick is the affordable stuff. It's not as attractive, but people need it. All right, so we're going to let this thing continue doing its thing here. And over on Amazon, we've got some folks joining us as well. So Sastin and Freddie. Freddie's looking forward to the 9. Yeah, so the cadence on Google is that they do the A phone in the summer, and then I think in the fall is when the other one comes out. And of note, they did not send me the 7A last year, so I have the 6A right here, as a matter of fact. I love this phone. I think this is a great phone. My daughter put a pop socket on the back of it. She's been using this phone a little bit. But I really like this phone. I thought this was a really good one. So we'll see how the... But look, the bezels on this don't look as bad to me. I'll compare the two in a minute. Yeah, I feel like they purposely made this one not look as premium. Like it's got like that old iPhone look to it. You'll see it better when we turn the phone back on. Yeah, I think, so Commodore fan, I think the performance is going to be better. If you're into the 120 hertz display, that'll be something to think about, right? But you know, the 6A is such a good phone. I don't know how you top it if you're already happy with the one you have. And the on-box does not work as a sound bar. So when the TV is on, the speaker goes off. And the speaker on board wouldn't be loud enough to function as one, unfortunately. And the Grand Admiral is also looking for low-cost tech. That's because he's spending so much money trying to get his advanced TIE fighter accepted by the Emperor, who instead decided to build the Death Star. Had he gone with Grand Admiral Thrawn's TIE fighters, I think the Galactic Civil War would have gone a different way, in my opinion. And I also did not get the new iPad either. iPads are another one that are hard to review because everybody reviews the iPad, right? So if they had come out with a new low-end iPad, I would have gotten that one. So whenever they rev that iPad, I get another one of those to review. My kids are still using their version, I don't know, the one I got 5 years ago. They use them a little too much, in my opinion, but they do use them. Yeah, 3A is good. I've got see what do I have here. I have a 4A, a 5A, a 6A, and the 7. I got to start getting rid of some of these phones again. We'll probably do some giveaways at some point on a couple of these. Yeah, Google sends me phones. I'm happy they do so because nobody does send me phones anymore. Oh, great. Look what happened. I did the hey you know what and it blew up. So we got to start the test over again. That stinks. We'll have to let it run here and then I'll talk about it as it's going. I made the mistake of saying the G word. That's what did it. It was already bad enough. It's like watching paint dry to have these tests finish, and now we got to wait for it all over again. Oh, I should have tested that. So the on-box doesn't play well with the other speakers, because I know on, if I've got, because this 7, whatever one this is, the 7 Pro or 8 Pro, is that what I have? 8 Pro. 8 Pro. The 8 Pro, I have a Google. Oh, I said it again. I have a G speaker in my kitchen, and when I summon it, sometimes the phone will pick up, but then it knows the other one got it, right? So then it knows to balance it out. So this would make sense to me that they would do that, because they brought the price up on this. Because remember, this phone used to be what, like $350, and now it's $500, which is very close to the entry-level phone that you would get on their flagship, right? So that would make sense to me. And I'm not sure how big their market share is that they could have that many phones in the mix. I would agree. You know, there was a time when we all had Commodore 64s and none of them could listen to us. And I think it was better. Yeah, so this test, as you can see, takes a while. So, and as it's running here, I will not disturb it, but you can see what the back of the phone looks like. It does support wireless charging. It's metal on the side. It even has a SIM card slot. So it does have eSIMs on board, but it also has a built-in or SIM card slot on it. But it does not have an SD card slot. So the storage you buy is the storage you get. And that's not an accident because they sell cloud services. So they'll give you a good amount of local storage. But these days, you cannot, I mean, unless you have a terabyte on your phone, I think a lot of us have photo libraries that are quite large. Yeah, this is definitely more of a high-end phone than it used to be. Because I was surprised by the price point, especially when you look at what a regular Pixel 8 costs, right? So they've kind of knocked out the low end. And you know, Apple to a degree has too, right? I mean, they still have the iPhone SE, but they haven't done much with it. You know, and what I think happened here is that when the whole industry shifted away from this subsidized model, which they've now kind of gone back to. Remember, everybody had to buy their phones, right? You're paying a monthly fee to pay for the $1,200 phone. So a phone at $350 that gave up a couple of things but was still very usable was an attractive option. But now we're getting back to this thing where, you know, you're getting your phones for free again almost, right? I mean, in most cases, they're doing something like that. You're not going to get maybe the high-end phone, but you'll get the entry-level one for no money with a commitment. Hey, we got both Darth Vader and Grand Admiral Thrawn here. How about that? Yeah, we used to have these battles in my house because I would connect to bulletin board systems from my computer in my bedroom, which was on the main phone line for the house. And my mother would pick up the phone and knock me off, especially if you were downloading something. That was always bad. So she had we had a second phone line in the house in her little office room that she was using. She had like a very little side business that she was doing. So I took over that room. Had my computer down there so my phone, my BBS calling would not get interrupted. Yeah, so we're not seeing much, right? We're seeing a lot of like cheap phones from, well, you could walk into Walmart, right, buy the $30 phone. We reviewed those before. They have lousy cameras. But let's see what happens here. This is the unlimited test. This one will take a lot longer to run. But yeah, it definitely feels higher end. It's got a nice OLED screen, which the others had OLED also, but not running at this refresh rate. So you're at now the 120 hertz refresh rate. Yeah, so I eventually set up a bulletin board system on that phone line. So I think in 92, yeah, it must have been 91 or 92, I got a 386. So I bought the 386 from this guy who was building them and selling them through the local FidoNet Connecticut Echo group there. And my father was like warning me, don't buy the computer from this guy, you're gonna get ripped off, da, da, da. And then we ended up buying the computer, it was great. And then my dad hired him to build all the computers for his business, and then I learned how to do it. And the rest is history. So there you go. So it all traces back to my bulletin board days, right? So Visikis worked at AT&T in 2013 when the shift to installment plans happened. It decreased the in-store price a customer paid plus sales tax, which let OEMs drastically increase the retail price. Right. That's exactly what happened. And now what they're doing, so when I got my new iPhone, so typically what I do with my iPhones, although this year I think I have to give my phone to my wife, but typically what I do, because her phone's getting old, is I I trade in the phone that I have to Apple, and I would actually get a good amount of money back, and they credit it onto your credit card. So your overall, upfront cost isn't too much. But I just buy it outright. It's a work phone. I write it off, right? My wife. Why am I talking about my wife? My wife's going to get the phone this year, so I'm not going to get the deal like I had last year. But I usually buy the lower end iPhone. And then this year, Verizon was like going to offer $200 more. And I didn't read the fine print. But what they do is they amortize the trade-in over the contract length. So you don't get all the money back up front. They give you a credit on your bill. And if you end up canceling, you lose your phone's equity. It's crazy. So that was not cool. I'm glad I caught it before I sent the phone in. And then I went back to Apple. That's how I did it there. All right, so we got 9,050 on this one. Oh, so let me get the full test here. Oh, I did the stress test. No wonder why this took so long. All right, well, that was good that I ran that because I was going to do it anyhow. So 81.4% stability. I ran the wrong test. How about that? So 3D Mark Wildlife stress test. This is the Pixel 8 Pro, and this is a Google Tensor. And the best loop was 9,050. The lowest loop was 7,367. And you know what? I'm going to let this phone cool off now that I was running the wrong test because it started off hot. So we'll let it cool off and then we'll run the benchmark again. Boy, did I mess that up. But at least I got the stability test started, at least on the Pro as a comparative. It does get a bit warm. It does get a bit warm. So this is what it looks like. They have a bunch of different colors. It is plastic on the back, metal here. So you get metal on the sides. It's got that kind of old iPhone curved look to it. And the one thing that I can't get over is the bezel size on these new ones. So right now it's in dark mode. But maybe I can switch it into non-dark mode. So with OLEDs, you want to leave it in dark mode, which is probably why it's set to that. I don't know if there's a command to switch it out or not. But let's go to my, my blog, which has a white background. So what you'll see here is that it just has an older look to it, doesn't it? And I'll zoom the camera in a little bit. The screen looks great, though, because it is an OLED. And it does look actually a little warmer than the Pro screen looks. So if I jump out of here, and we'll just go into my blog there, you can see the difference. It's definitely, I actually kind of prefer the warmer display. It's actually nicer to look at. This definitely has a more colder tinge to it on the Pro. I'm sure there's a way to adjust that, but and I've always liked a smaller phone. Although I got the for my iPhone, I'm using the 15 Pro Max, so that's what I'm using now, and it doesn't feel ridiculously big to me. Partly because they made the frame smaller by making the bezel smaller, right? So that made the phone feel more efficient. And then, oh, you know what else I got? So I reviewed this a while back, but I got the Snap 4. I don't know if you've seen the ads on Facebook for this thing. I love this. I never thought I would like one of these attachments, but this thing is awesome. And I did a review of it. You can check it out. I don't think they're selling these on Amazon yet. I got to check. Did I notice any color distortion or banding? Let me take a look here. Just when you look at it off angle, and I've seen that on other phones too, there's a little bit of color distortion when you're off angle. But I think I've seen that on the iPhone also. So pretty good stuff. See if I had any. Yeah, so I don't think it was it the 6A that would overheat? There was one phone, maybe it was the 6A, or maybe it was the 5A. One of the Pixel A phones, you couldn't take like 4K video for more than like 4 minutes, and because it would overheat and shut down. Like it wouldn't shut the phone down, but it would make you stop recording. So I am going to try that when I go out with it later and start doing my testing with the video and everything. And speaking of, we can at least look at that while we're waiting for the phone to cool down before we run our benchmark here. So let's take a look here. So it still has night sight, which we can't do now, obviously, because it's daytime. Is a long exposure? That's pretty cool. We can switch over here to video. And we can go 4K at 60. Or we could do full HD. Now, stabilization. So you lose speech enhancement when you go to 4K 60. It's got something called frequent faces. When you take top shot photos or touch and hold. Oh, interesting. So how's this for creepiness? So let's say you're only taking pictures of your kids more frequently. It'll prioritize them versus other people. It's got a dirty lens warning. You can put a grid up. It's got video stabilization. Of course, it shoots H.265 by default. Yes, I remember. I was very surprised by that the phone would freeze up like that. Yeah, so I think one of the things, and I'm guessing what they're probably going to do, and they probably already announced this, that whenever the 9 comes out, there will only be like a 9 Pro and then this 8A, right? I think that's kind of where they're going to go. Or the A's are going to be gone after this. Hey, Don Coyote is here. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, and remember, Google actually released a tablet, right? The Pixel tablet, which I reviewed. It has like a really nice base on it. It was really cool. And that went by the wayside as well. So, all right, let's try to run these tests again now these phones have cooled off a bit. And I will run that stress test again. So what I had not done, says Wildlife Extreme is what we want to run. That's what it was. So I had selected the wrong test, which is why this turned out the way it did. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Wildlife Extreme, and we're going to see how the two compare. Remember, 8A is on the right here, and the 8 Pro is on the left. Let's see how they do. Now, I will say with the 8 Pro, when I was at the eclipse at my brother's place, I let it run for 45 minutes because I was capturing the family watching the eclipse to get their reaction, and I had put this on a tripod, and it went for 45 minutes at 4K. I think, though, I was only recording at 30 FPS, not 60. Yeah, I think if you're happy with your phone, like I upgrade my iPhone every year just because like the video improves a little bit. So for example, with this new iPhone, it had the USB-C port so I could record on external storage if I ever got around to doing that. It's one of those things where it's like nice to have the option even if you don't do it. So that was kind of how I went with that. So now we're running the wildlife extreme test, and we'll see how it does. This is, again, in unlimited mode. Now, on the first test, these scored exactly the same. So it performs every bit as good as the Pro phone does for less money. Half the price. But to put this into perspective, even with the 8 Pro, for example, the iPhone, let's see, where does the iPhone come in on this? Did I not run? Oh, yeah. So the first test, we got just under 9,000, 8,948, right? The iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is what I have for my daily driver phone, right? That one came in at 15,404. And we'll see how it does on the second test here. So the iPhone, for the same money as the Pixel Pro phone, is just so much faster. And like if you're a nerd like me, the problem had been that you never could get the emulators on the iPhone without jailbreaking it. But guess what, folks? Guess what? Now you can. I got my Game Boy emulator right here. I've been playing Advance Wars 2. I haven't played that. I don't think I ever played it, and I had always wanted to. And I was like, now it's on my phone. And what's great about a game like Advance Wars is it's like a strategy game. You don't need the controller to make it work, right? Because it's not like a fast action game where the touchscreen is an issue. So I've been playing Advance Wars, waiting for the kids to go to bed at night. All right, so here is the score. And I would say they came in the margin of error here. In fact, yeah, I mean, if I ran this again, it would probably come back at around the same. So let me put this in real quick here. So comparatives. The 15 Pro Max on the same test got 1,000 points more. And I'm not sure what the metric is that drives each point, but as you can imagine, despite how great these chips are and the fact that Google developed them themselves, they're not in the same league as what Apple is doing with its phone chip. And every year the gap just gets wider, right? But performance-wise, I would say this is pretty much the same as the Pro phone. So it's not crippled at all. And you've got 8 gigabytes of RAM on it as well. So that's pretty good. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of B-roll shooting here. Because I wanted to try out a couple things. So the first thing I thought I would try is the Dolphin GameCube emulator. And to do that, why don't we dock it in my Backbone controller here. So it does fit. I am annoyed with Backbone because of this stupid subscription thing that they've implemented with this controller, which I think is ridiculous. But the core functionality of the controller works, and it's a good one. So it's like they didn't have to do this, right? Like, it's crazy. So, all right, so we'll put a little wave race on there. I think I have to configure my controller. Oops, oh great, I hit the wrong button. So A is going to be, let's clear it. A, B, X. I'm sure I'm hitting the wrong buttons here, but start was that. Control stick up, down, left, right. Modifier, what does that do? Let's push the button there. Leave the dead zone as is. C stick is going to be this, up, down, left, right, modifier. And then triggers, left, right. Oh, I'm going to clear those. I have a left analog on these. So we'll do, oops, shoot. Left, right. D-pad, up, down, left, right. All right. I think we're good there. And I'm just doing the basic settings here, but we'll see how it performs. Yeah, like seriously, like I mean, I could get it with like, I mean, I don't like the 365 model either, but I can get it for that. At least you're getting something useful. Like this thing, you're buying the controller, and then they have a subscription for some of the features. So primarily, if I remember correctly from my review that I did a few weeks ago, the primary thing that they hold back is that this controller, if you plug it into a computer, lets you use it on the computer when there's no phone attached to it. And without the subscription, you can't enable that feature. I think that was like the big one. Yeah, so there's some speculation as to, and I can't imagine with them just releasing the 8A now that's not going to be part of the lineup, unless maybe like this will have the Tensor 3, the new ones will have the Tensor 4, or whatever they want to call it. That could be it. Yeah, I don't understand it. Let me look and see if I have to remember what the upsell was on it. Let me pull up my notes on that. So I remember thinking like it's not much, and they don't even tell you how much it costs until you really get into it. So let me look and see what the subscription. Let's see, Backbone subscription. Now, because I had the old one, I got grandfathered in with the new one. So they call it Backbone Plus. And Diana Whatmore just followed me on Amazon. Thank you very much for that. All right, so what do you get for the subscription? You get 20 app features unlocked. They don't say what they are. Apparently, the game launcher doesn't work without the subscription. You can live without that. Being able to play it on your Mac, iPad, and PC. That's a big one, which was part of the feature set of the original. It'll let you capture 1080p video through their app. It has in-app voice chat, but you could do that through Discord, I guess. Yeah, so mostly, I would say the only feature they hold back that's of value is the PC compatibility. And that is something useful, and it's not something that should be held behind a paywall, in my opinion. All right, let me see if I can get rid of the on-screen stuff here. Toggle all. There we go. But in my testing of the prior Pixel phones, I think this is adequate for let me set up my recording here too. Yeah, I'm tired. It's Thursday. Okay. Let's see how this does. And the little vibration thing's working. Hit the record button here. Oop. I think I'm going the wrong way. So I turned around to hit my record button and I totally screwed it up. There we go. Let me start this again. So I got distracted. I went to hit the record button and I forgot. I lost track of what I was doing. But the Tensor's enough to run the GameCube and presumably the PlayStation 2. So I think you're going to be fine like up to that level. So like Dreamcast will be good on here. Like, this feels fine to me. And I will say I like having something like this that gives you that feel of a console. And it's definitely this is the second version of the Backbone controller. It feels a lot nicer, and of course now that I have a USB-C iPhone, it works with all the phones that I plug into it. And it has like an extra like adapter thing for larger cases and stuff. There you go. Now I'm going to hit the record button. I love Wave Race. There we go. Oh, missed that one. Wave Race on this Nintendo 64 I thought was really like an amazing game, at least at the time. The water mechanics I've always thought were cool. Somebody did a video, maybe it was the Modern Vintage Gamer did a video about how they did the water in those games. Yes, emulation's good. The screen looks great. I really like the screen a lot. You know what I've been doing a lot of emulation on is the Steam Deck. I got that EMU deck running on it, and the PlayStation 2 was a great experience on that. So yeah, that works good. Yeah, I will say I have a love-hate relationship on USB-C, partly because I've got cables all over the place. I have no idea what cable is what, right? Because they all look the same, they have the same connector, and the capabilities are so different. It's an issue. It's concerning, and I'm starting to see cables now that are printing what it can do on the cable on the molding. And that's such a welcome development. I think they should make that part of the spec. All right, so got that down. All right, so let's do a little Android gaming. I did not dump tons of quarters into Dragon's Lair, but I did have Space Ace on my Apple IIgs. It came on like 10 floppy disks. And it was so hard I could never get past the first scene of the game. All right, so let's load up. You guys are all going to kill me. But my kids play Roblox, so I have to test this because that's what happens. Don't judge me, but this is my kids like Cookie Swirl Sea World on Roblox, so that's why we're in Cookie Swirl Sea World. The game controller doesn't seem to work on this, huh? Oh, that works. I can't control. Doesn't this support game controllers? All right, I'll just use the phone itself. Do a little record here. So, I mean, I guess it's fine, right? I'm not much of a Roblox connoisseur, but it looks okay to me. I don't actually own a lot of Android games. Oof, yeah. It's a judgment. Somebody, Grand Admiral Thrawn says it's a judgment-free zone. Maybe this channel, I don't know. I see a lot of judgment on social platforms these days. I mean, it's good enough for this kind of stuff, right? I mean, is there an Android game that really pushes the envelope? I guess is the question. That doesn't cost $1 million. Yeah, we don't have variety anymore, do we? There were so many cool phones back in the mid 2000s. I had the Palm Treo, and then like Palm Treo, they had because they were Palm, right? They had maybe the initial phone wasn't owned by Palm. I think they got bought by whoever it was. They made a Palm Treo that ran Windows CE. I had that phone. I loved that phone. I had. What else did I have? I had that slider phone that Sprint was selling. I can't remember whose phone it was, but it had a slide-out keyboard and a stylus. And I had, you know what I had back then? I had one of those sling boxes. Remember the sling box, the original one, where you could plug in your cable and it would let you watch your TV anywhere. So I used to do that on that Sprint phone because the 3G network was able to provide enough bandwidth to make it work. And I like the foldables, and they're too expensive. That's the problem with the foldables. Remember I reviewed the Google foldable, the Pixel Fold. I like that one a lot, but I'm just look at the price tag on it. It's just so much, and I think it's the yields on those displays has got to be. It's got to be difficult. But yeah, that's the problem with these phones. They all settled on this candy bar design. They all kind of look like the iPhone did, right? This one especially so because it's got the metal on the side here, and it looks very iPhone-like. So yeah, it definitely falls into that bucket. All right, let's take a look here. The benchmark. And apparently it's got the ability to scan documents with just the camera, so you don't like it has some like AI thing here. So let's try this real quick and see what happens. Let me zoom the camera out a little bit. So apparently if I pull up the camera app, it should recognize the document and just do a yeah, look at that. Well, that's cool. What am I going to get here? Because now I've got a color. He doesn't recognize that it's black and white. But that's cool. Some of the AI stuff. But like, what else do we do on this thing, right? It's like, okay, it's a phone, another one. Yeah, so I'll run through its paces. There are some AI features that they're going to be demoing here. So that's something that it's going to do. Yeah, who made that phone that swiveled like a T? Who made that? Was that LG that did that one? But yeah, there's all sorts of different designs that people do. So Item Man, thank you for the follow on Amazon. So it does have a built-in fingerprint reader, and it will also recognize you with your face. And if you're curious as to how it sizes up, so this is the 8 Pro, and this is the 8A. So the 8 Pro has more cameras. It has a glass back, a much larger display. This one has a very, actually, I kind of like the color temperature of this display better than what I see on the 8 Pro. It's nice and it's a warmer display. Plastic back, but it does support wireless charging. You got 2 cameras in the back here. I got to get the specs on those. May as well look that up now while we're sitting here. And let's see what it's got. But I almost feel like they're going to have a hard time selling these because of the price point. And if I go back, let me go back and look at the 6A, which was the last one that I looked at. So the Pixel 6A, which I reviewed 2 years ago. Oh, I guess it is a little bit more than I thought. So this is $499 now. The 6A was $449, so it's $50 more. The 4A, so when did these things cost less? Let's see. The 4A was $349, as was the 3A, I think. This is all pre-inflation too, so that might be part of it. So the 4A was the one that I thought was $349. So the last one that I looked at was $449. Now, the 6A was when they were really getting into that mode of jacking the price up a little bit. Because this used to be the budget phone, and it offered a lot. When the 3A was around, I thought it was a really value-packed device. Now, as far as cameras go, the main camera, let me write all this down here. So the main camera is 60, I gotta go take a bunch of pictures later today. Main camera is 64 megapixels. That's a lot of pixels. But they're small pixels, so it doesn't mean as much, right? And it's a 26 millimeter equivalent, wide angle, f1.9, It has optical image stabilization, which is nice. The ultra wide is 120 degrees, f2.2. So it doesn't do as well in low light as the other one does. And it'll do 1080p at 240. Now the front camera is 13 megapixels. And let's see here, 2.2, 20 millimeter equivalent, which it says it's also ultra wide. But it does 4K 30, not 60. So that's your camera breakdown. If you want to see my ugly mug, let's see how it works here. So I'll flip it around. Here I am. So you can zoom it in a little bit. It looks pretty good. But it does not appear to have any stabilization on it on the front camera. Yeah, it's going to have digital stabilization, but not automatic. So there you go. Oh yeah, people are definitely, I mean, I remember when the iPhone every year was like a huge jump, lines out the door. And now it's like, yeah, the phone's fine. There's really not been, I mean, what new features have we received other than like better, quality of lifestyle improvements, a better looking screen, right? A little faster hertz or whatever. I would say that, the video on the iPhone is why I own iPhones, because of their video capability. That's why I buy the iPhone. So I guess adjusting for inflation, we're pretty much in the same boat. But still, like, right, it's about a $70 price gap there, right? Yeah, I have a friend that's still using a 3A. They're good phones. And I think the support, how long does Google support their Pixel phones? Let's see. 7 years. So the 3A came out. When did the 3A come out? So the 3A came out in 2019. So you got another 2 years of support. So you're still, if you have a 3A, you're still going to have updates for another 2 years. You may not get those feature drops that they give you, but other than that, the phone's still going to crank out on you. So yeah, good stuff. All right. Well, I've got some sunlight coming out, so I'm going to go take some pictures on this phone. And if you all have any questions, I can answer them before I head out. Oh, older ones are 5 years. Okay, so maybe it's at the end of its life this year. So the other factor, too, is you have chip shortages, and now you're going to have increased tariffs. So I think there already is a tariff on Chinese semiconductors, but now they're going to jack them up again. So things are going to get pricier, unfortunately. And the 5A, yes, so I have a 5A somewhere. And that was an interesting year because from the Pixel 4 was a better performing phone than the 5 was. Remember that? Like the 4 was like a really nice phone. It had that radar facial recognition, and then they went to like a very bland, it wasn't much different than the 4A when they went to the 5. But the 5A was longer too. I have one here somewhere. Maybe either I gave it away recently. I can't remember. Yeah, I think you're right about that, Random Max. You know what it is the batteries go before anything else, and you can't take the batteries out of these things. So they're hermetically sealed. But that's usually what happens. Your battery is why you buy a new phone. And it's not because the battery is anything wrong. It just gets old and it stops going. So, for example, I'm 5 months into this phone? Let me see what I've got here. Sherwood Brown was wondering if I have a Samsung Z5. I do not. They don't send me, Samsung doesn't send me phones. And I would buy phones to review them like I do other things, but I just don't get a lot of traffic on phones. Like I won't, this review will do okay, but it won't do great. But I'll do it because I find the phone of interest, and I think viewers might too. So if I look at my battery health on my iPhone that I bought back in September, I go to my battery health. So I have 186 charge cycles. First use was September of 23, so last September. And my battery capacity now on this 6 Pro Max is 96%. So I've lost about 4% of my overall battery capacity so far. And what's interesting about this is that when I got it, my other phone, I had the, this is a 15, I had the 14 before the 15. I try to keep it sequential so I can remember. And that battery degraded quickly. So when I got this new phone, I'm like, oh my gosh, the battery's so much better, because it was better, but also more than likely it was just newer. So good stuff there. All right, what else we got? I should look at the Pine phone. I got to look at some of this more wacky stuff that people aren't always reviewing. What I want to see is the phones go back to, I'm an old cranky guy at this point, but why can't we have replaceable batteries? I remember I would drop my phone and then the battery compartment would crack open and then the battery would come flying out and you put it all back together and you were good to go. But I had those Motorola phones, like my flip phone I got back. Is it still up back there? Yeah. So here you go. I had this is not the one I had, but I had one very similar to this. So, right? I mean, it was part of the deal. I had a charger that I could charge these batteries in, and there was two different batteries. I had the thick one, which is this one, and then I had a thin one. So if you didn't want to walk around with a huge fat phone all day long, you could put the thinner battery on. But they were designed around quick swaps of batteries. Why don't they do that anymore? I think it makes a lot of sense. That's what I think. And you know what was funny back? So, like, nobody walked around with phones, even though you had one. You were embarrassed to take it out. I'll never forget this. I was at, I had a phone. Nobody knew to call me on it, and they didn't because of how much it cost to call me. So, the phone I had, it was 75 cents a minute. This was in 1993, 93 or 92, 94. Now, I got this phone in 94. I was a freshman in college. So 30 years ago, it was 75 cents a minute. So track that out on inflation, right, today. But nights and weekends for the first, year of ownership were free. So after you hit, I think it was 8 p.m., Monday through Friday, and then all day Saturday and Sunday, you could be on the phone as much as you want. And here's the kicker. The cell phones didn't have a local calling area. So I could call the entire state of Connecticut, where I live, for free all weekend long. And then what would happen would be you hit the end of that free night and weekend promotion, and then they started charging you 75 cents a minute. They were like drug pushers, because they knew once you had it, you'd be on the phone all the time. And then they had this thing in the plan where you could buy in and get that as part of your phone plan, which made sense. And then one year they changed the start time from 8 to 9 p.m. And I called the local TV station about it, and I got the Attorney General got in on it. It's a breach of contract, and they had to change it back. I don't know if it was just me that did it, but it was pretty funny. They should totally do that. As a matter of fact, I happen to know the framework guy because he went to high school with my brother. So I saw him at CES. So they should they could totally make an Android phone. Oh, and the roaming charges. Don't even get me started on that, right? Once you got out of your local calling area, you got killed. And that was like, I think it was AT&T that did this. It was like AT&T or Sprint, one of the two. They made it so the phones would just work nationwide. And that was like 97, 98. So I remember my dad we got him an AT&T phone specifically because he didn't have to deal with roaming, because he used to travel a lot. And that was such a big deal. You could pick the phone up and just use it anywhere. And now it's like, we don't even think about it. But yeah, it is all about money. I mean, how hard would it be? I mean, they solved the problem of replaceable batteries on cell phones 30 years ago. Look, and this was designed to be, here, check it out. Like, this was designed to be done frequently. It is heavy-duty plastic. It's got, look at all these arrows in here. Like, it is an action that they anticipated the customer doing frequently. They even put instructions under this about what the lights mean, right? I doubt this thing will ever turn on again, but yeah, this is the exact phone that I had. I don't know where I got this from, because we didn't have AirTouch where I lived. Somebody gave this to me a while ago. And you know, your head would get warm because it was like transmitting into the side of your head. But yeah, I had a bag phone also with the big camcorder battery. Yeah, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. It was awesome. So it was good stuff. Yeah, so we have degenerated. We've looked at everything this phone can do. It's nice. It does everything the other phone did, except it looks different, and it's got a nice display. I'm going to test the cameras outside in a little while, because it's starting to get sunny out. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It performs well. I don't. You all tell me if you think it's ugly or not. When I first took it out of the box and turned it on, I was like, ooh, those bezels. Like, it just has this like 2014 feel to it, or maybe like a 2016 feel. It's just got that rounded iPhone 6 kind of look to it. And maybe it's because I got the white one. They don't let you choose what color they send you. But it's got like an iPhone 6 vibe to it. I should look at that. That's not a bad idea. Yes, right, AT&T was the first, right, and then Sprint did it. And then Verizon used to be Bell Atlantic Mobile. And then they switched to, they changed the name to Verizon. So I think NYNEX bought them or something. I forgot the whole chain of events. But back in the 90s, we had, in Connecticut at least, we had two choices. We had Lynx, which was our local phone company. And then our local phone company, they sold the cellular unit, which was a big mistake. They sold the cellular unit to AT&T. And it became Singular, right? Remember Singular? But yeah, the bezel on this is the thing. When I booted it up, I was like, I feel like the 6 here is this is the 6A. I feel like this is a more attractive phone. Let me boot. This is my daughter's. My daughter's using it not as a phone. I don't let them use the phone part, but she does uses it for the camera. I forgot her password. Oh, great. I gotta remember what the password is. But the I'll turn the brightness up on it a little bit. But when you compare the two here, this one felt like its own unique design. I forgot this one had the fingerprint reader too. So it's a little bit larger. But for whatever reason, the bezels didn't feel as offensive to me. and because they were thinner, right? They're pretty thick on this one. Yeah, they did have a cool logo at Singular. So, thanks, Micah. Pleasure having you over here. I love talking tech. I was talking tech with Major Nelson the other day, my buddy. We chat with each other every once in a while about all of our projects. But yeah, 6A looks like the newer phone, doesn't it? Like, it just seems like the design took a step back here. It's almost like they didn't want to cannibalize the upper level phone. Although if you look at it close enough, I guess there is a resemblance there. But it's also because I have the black 6 Pro, 9 Pro, 8 Pro, whatever this is. So maybe if I had the white one, it would look different because the metal is. But I think what it is the bezel on the 8 here is not as prevalent. So there you go. All right. Well, I'm going to go run and take some pictures now with it, and we did get our benchmarks done. Got some B-roll going, so we're good there. Mando E, thank you for loving my tech videos. Thank you for watching them. Having trouble getting people to watch stuff these days. I'm really struggling to find things that people want to look for. So that's been important there. And Viscus, thank you very much for becoming a bronze level member. I got to start doing more with the memberships. We're going to start talking about that again. And you can't see it right now, but I have a pile of stuff that I have to get rid of. So we're going to start doing more of our auctions and giveaways soon. And these are going to be shorter ones because when I do the big ones, part of the planning process, and this is why I haven't done one in a while, when I do one of the big shows on Whatnot and the other things that we do, I have to like ship all the stuff out. So if I do like 15 items, I've got to spend the rest of the day shipping stuff. So we're going to do smaller ones, and then I'm going to start putting things up on the store also. So you'll start seeing more of my stuff going out. So there you go. All right. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I've had a couple people today come in and say that their family members are still using the 3A, and it's a great phone. Why not keep using it? Like it's, you know, things are better and improved here, obviously, but the core functionality of what the phone does. So, case in point, you know, when you had this phone, when the new one came out, you went from having just an LED number display to something that could display text, right? We used to go on the, believe it or not, we would go on the internet on these phones. So I remember when I upgraded from my original one to the next one, it had a modem capability, or you went from analog to digital. With the iPhone, when the original one came out, it had a crappy camera. It only did 2G, remember that? And then the following year, you got 3G and location, because the original iPhone didn't even have GPS on board. So think about that. So when the 3 came out, that was a big deal, even though it was the second one. You got a real improvement on the phone. When the 3GS came out, you got a camera that could shoot 30 frames per second video, much improved photo and video quality, right? That was a big jump. The 4 could shoot 1080p video. You know what I mean? So there was like this laddering. So this is a good question, Chris, because if the EU is going to mandate that, that's going to drive a lot of engineering decisions, isn't it? I mean, how hard could it be? I mean, I get it that you like having, I mean, I guess if the phone is waterproof, you have to make that consideration, but I mean, this was how it used to work. You snapped it in. It had a very satisfying snap. I had 2 batteries for my phone. I would swap them all the time because I couldn't go like all day on the thinner battery. But that's it. So, oh no, yeah, so the auctions, nope, the auctions are open to everybody. So those I do for everybody. So what I will do, if you want to get notified, I have email lists. So you'll get the notice on all of them, but if you don't want to get my email newsletter every other day or the weekly one, if you go to Lon.TV/Amazon shop, I'm sorry, no, that's my Amazon page. Lon.TV/store alert is the one that I use to notify people of the schedule for those. And the way the auctions work is that although the auction is live, you can bid ahead of the auction. So you can put your best offer in, and if you get it, right? So you don't have to be there. For the giveaways, you have to be there, but otherwise, it's open to everybody. Yeah, and you think about it, even removable storage, right? So you don't have a memory card slot on here. I struggle all the time with my kids' iPads because they keep filling them up, right? So where do I get like funneled into as a consumer? So I get funneled into a relatively affordable iPad with initially was only 16 gigabytes of storage. So the kid goes into Procreate, makes 4 pictures, and now I got to figure out how to get those things off of it so they don't fill up their iPad. YouTube on their iPads, like, it caches all this data. It's like 4 or 5 gigabytes. Every once in a while, I got to delete YouTube and reinstall it because they have no space left on the darn thing. On the phones in particular, even the Google phones, yeah, you can buy the phone, you know, for the entry price, you get 128 gigs. But if you're taking 4K video, you're going to fill that up super quick. So what's the solution? Solution is you go into their cloud services where you can offload it. So I'm paying, and I do it for backup too, but I'm paying $10 a month to Apple for the 2 terabyte family storage plan because the phones don't have enough on their own to store everything, right? So that's the racket. So I would say after the removable batteries, we go back to removable storage. My Mac, like, I can't upgrade the storage on my Mac. It's locked in. It's built. Everything's like I love my little MacBook, but, right, all that stuff. So now the EU is going to mandate things. So, and to some degree, these mandates have hit us here. So, for example, when you buy this phone, you don't get a power plug in the box because the EU said you can no longer include power connectors because we've standardized. So they also standardized the USB-C connector in the EU, right? So by standardizing the connector, that also gave them the ability to say to manufacturers, okay, now we're going to make it so you are not to include a power adapter in the box with your phone. Which means that if you don't have one, you got to buy it separately. And the phone still costs the same, even though, think about this one. So part of the cost of your phone is how much it costs to ship it, because you're likely making the phone in China. Although I did get, what did I get the other day? I got something made in Vietnam the other day. What was it? I can't remember what it was. It's probably on the floor over here. Was it this thing? Oh, no, the new Walmart streaming box is made in Vietnam. So, but you still have to get that thing from China or Vietnam to here. So when you think about the cost of shipment, if you're leave the cost of the AC adapter alone for a second, the cost of the box that includes enough space to accommodate the phone and the charging adapter, if you don't have to include the charging adapter in the box, your cost of shipping goes down dramatically, because if you pull out, you know, even like 5 cubic inches or less than that, maybe one cubic inch per phone, multiply that across an entire container, you can fit more phones on a container, which means your landed cost is less because you can ship more for less money. So that mandate, I'm sure they welcomed that, because if they don't have to include the power adapter, not only can they sell another high margin item, they can make more money because it costs less money to ship the phone. And as we've seen, this phone costs more than the phone that they had in this class just a couple of years ago. So there you go. So I do have my own cloud. I do that. But it's not convenient for my family to know how to use it. So that is why I still do the Apple thing. But I've got a fireproof NAS over there. It can survive. We actually set one on fire. It'll survive. So yeah, I've got that as a side thing. But yeah, the 8A, and that's the one thing. Google's always given more space on the lower end. But the max you can get is 256, and there's no way to get anything more than that. And you think about how, what the heck is this? I think part of that phone came apart as I was going back and forth. Yeah, I think it was part of the phone. Yep. Maybe I stand corrected. The metal was popping out of the... Never mind. I've got pieces of this phone all over the place now. Well, it took 30 years for it to break. So there you go. Where was I going with this? But yeah, I mean, with a SD card, a terabyte SD card costing, what, $70, if that? Let me look it up. And I got to run. I got to pick the kids up. 1 terabyte SSD. Micro SD. 1 terabyte micro SD, $79 from SanDisk. a good one. Isn't that absurd that you could fit a terabyte on something that small? Yeah, so Lexar's got one for $85. Yeah, so about $79 is your base entry point. And that's not a high performing card. And the 512 gigs are less than that. But you think about how inexpensive that storage really is. And if you were buying at scale for your phone, I mean, there's no reason for them not to be giving that option. I digress. So I did the fire test already. So if you go on my YouTube channel and search for, what is the name of the thing? IO Safe. The local fire department let me throw it in their training thing. And we set it on fire like 3 times. And it got hit with water. It was IO Safe fire test. And that's another one. I thought viewers would find that really interesting. Nobody watched it. I got 7,000 views on it. I got more views on the review of it than I did on the actual fire test, which is weird because that's like the primary reason you would buy it, is for the fireproofing. Yes, Image is definitely on my list. I have avoided installing it because of the fact that they're in such rapid development, and they say that they may have updates that break it. So I was reluctant to get like super invested into it yet, but I've been hearing about that for sure. David Bound, good to see you, my friend. A fellow Connecticut person. So yeah, so here we go. All right, I got to run because I got to go pick my kids up. I got to go get something at my mailbox. I got to take some pictures with this phone so I can shoot it tomorrow and get the rest of my notes put together. So yeah, we'll go from there. If there's anything you would like me to test on it, leave a comment on this video. Leave a chat, but leave it in the comment area too, so I can see it later and go from there. Yeah, here you go, right? Wife wants to use Apple Photos. He wants to use Google Photos. We pay $20 a month just for photo storage, right? I'm in the same boat. My photos, how big is my, let me take a look here. Oh, got another follower on Amazon, Toussaint. Thank you for joining us. Let me take a look here. How much storage do I have on my iCloud? Let's see. So my photo library, just for me, okay, not including what my wife has on her phone, 630.5 gigabytes. So I have over half a terabyte of video and photos. Smash that like button, everybody. That's darn right. And it's good to see you, Chris Allegretta. I'm going to be doing more of these soon. I'm starting to, my school board issues are starting to subside a bit. I went through that at the beginning, but I'm knee deep in a mold remediation project at one of our schools where I'm on the school board. So it's taking up a lot of time, but we're getting there. All right. Let me run here. I got to go pick the kids up at school, get my coffee, get my stuff at the mailbox. I got more stuff coming in. And yeah, we'll go from there. Let me end the Amazon one first, and I will stick around on the YouTube one for just a second longer here. So let me hit, let me say goodbye to Amazon. Thank you all for tuning in as I shut down here. I'll probably start doing a little more on Twitter also. I guess Twitter's about to do more streaming soon. All right, so we will end the Amazon stream. And then on the YouTube side, I just started doing videos on this new platform called flip.shop. It's like this, I'm not a vertical video guy, okay, but they're actually paying creators well for content, and it's not like, you're doing advertisements. It's separate from the manufacturer. So the revenue share, there's actual real revenue for creators. I don't know how long they can keep up the momentum for, but this is what it looks like. I don't know if yeah, I mean, some of these people, I can't stand listening to them, but like, it's like a shopping platform, and they're actually paying us to do it. Like, not as much as YouTube, but it's better than nothing. So I've been pretty happy with, oh, hey, Chris Allegretta, thank you for the like. Flip.shop. I'll pull it back up here again. So if you go on there, look for, what is my Lon.TV on flip.shop. If I can find my flips here, I'll show you what here we go. So a couple of things that I have not reviewed on the YouTube channel yet, for example. So here's like what one of these things looks like. Isn't that cool? Isn't that neat? So, and then if you can hit the button and it's all like socially driven. So I've reviewed a couple things on there. Like this one got 20,000 views. Check this one out. This is like a phone cage. And they sent me these things to review. But it was, hands off. Like I'm really happy with it. What's odd though is that when you buy stuff from here, it comes to you from Amazon anyhow. So they must be like working the affiliate revenue. They don't actually have any. I don't know how it works, but the prices look okay. Oh, you know what? It plays at it. That's why everything seems faster. It's playing at a faster rate. Huh. So it kind of looks like TikTok, but it's not TikTok. It's flip.shop. So check it out. So there you go. All right. And no iPad on its way to me. I avoided the iPads. I still have my 2018 Pro, and that's what I'm sticking with for now. So, good stuff. What did Elon Musk do now? I've been following the news today. I'll have to go check Twitter. see what he's saying. All right. Oh yeah, then he had it. That's his normal modus operandi. He fires the whole department, and then he brings back a couple people there. Yeah, around here it's fine. I work for myself, so I've been close to firing myself a couple of times this year, but so far not yet. All right, everybody. I will catch you all soon. I'll be streaming more often now. I've got like my cadence back a little bit now that this project that I'm dealing with at the school is kind of smoothed out a bit. So it's been a crazy year. Let me tell you. It's been really crazy. But it's good. We're making progress. I like having problems to solve, so that's why I'm not stressed out about it. I enjoy problem solving, but it's been a wild year. All right, I will catch you all in the next one, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Pay package nonsense. What's that? That's the. I'm just looking for a few more chats here, going through to make sure I don't miss anything here. But yeah, good. I got to run. Okay, catch you all on the next one, and I'm going to go pick my children up and take some pictures and come back and maybe shoot a review at some point tomorrow. All right, catch you all on the next stream, and thank you all for tuning in. Bye now.